Namaste and welcome back to the DSA classes. Today we are going to be solving an interesting array question called as finding the length of the longest alternating even odd subarray. Now what does this question mean? Let me help you understand. I have three arrays in front of me. Now if you look closely, you will look at the first array. It has even elements, it has odd elements also. Now if you look at subarrays within the array, now obviously 8 is a subarray, it has one even element. 8 and 10 is a subarray, it has two even elements. 8 and 13 is a subarray where you have even, odd. I hope you are able to think. Then if you take 10 and 13, you have a subarray where one element is even, next element is odd. Which means alternating elements are even then odd. Which means this is a potential answer, 10 and 13. Now what is the size of this subarray? 2. But if you look next, 10, 13, 14, even, odd, even. I hope you are able to understand. Which means this is also a potential answer. And what is the length of this? Length of this is nothing but 3. Similarly, if you look at this, 13 is also a subarray, but it has only odd element. 13, 14, if you think odd, even, yes, alternating elements are even odd, which means this is also a potential answer. What is the length? 2, which means this is a potential answer. These three together is a potential answer. These together is a potential answer. Out of all these options, which is the subarray with the maximum length is 10, 13, 14 and its length is nothing but 3. In other words, your output has to be 3. I hope you understood why 3. Similarly, if you notice 5, 12, 11, 16 I have. This is my array. Okay. Now if you look odd, even. Oh, very good. So this can be a potential answer. Length is 2. Odd, even, odd. Which means this also can be a potential answer. Alternating elements are even and odd. Which means length 3. Odd, even. Which means this entire array also can be a potential answer. Which means length 4. And if anyways you found length 4, which is nothing but the length of the array, then that is only your answer. How are you able to think? Which means what is the maximum length subarray where you have alternating even odd elements? 5, 12, 11, 16. Which means here the length is nothing but 4. I hope you are able to understand. Now let us assume you have an array in which every element is even or every element is odd. Assume there is an array where every element is even like this, or every element could have been odd also, it doesn't matter. If every element is even or every element is odd, what is the output if you ask me? The output has to be 1. I hope you are able to understand. It has to be 1 only. It cannot be more than that. Any confusion till this point of time? Okay, sir. Great. We understood. Now, how are we going to go ahead and write a solution for this? You must be wondering. First, let us look at a naive approach. Okay. Now, for the naive approach, I have taken this example. If you look at this example, the maximum length of the subarray, which contains alternating even odd elements, is 3 because 10, 13, 14. This is your answer. So 3 should be your answer. To do that, I am going to take two variables, count and max count. Ultimately, whatever is there inside the max count variable is going to be my answer. Okay. So how am I going to go ahead and do it? So watch it, guys. First and foremost, I am going to run a loop where I is going to start from the beginning of the array and it is going to go till the end. What are we going to do, sir? You may ask. What I am going to do is now to check if in case starting from I, is there subarrays which contains alternating even odd elements, and to calculate their length, I am going to take the help of another variable called as j. And I will tell j, you must always start one step ahead of I. Wherever I is, one step ahead j will start. Now j's duty is to check whether this alternating even odd condition is satisfied. How will we check that? Very simple. Wherever j is, I will check if it is even. If j is even, then the previous element j minus 1, should it be even or odd? It has to be odd. I hope you are able to understand. And how will you check if something is even? Mod 2 equal to 0. It should be perfectly divisible by 2. How will you check if something is not even? Mod 2 not equal to 0. That's how you check even and odd. Anyways, here I will just check if j is even. Is j minus 1 odd? J minus 1 is not odd, which means this subarray from I to j cannot even be our answer. Cannot even be our answer. I hope you are able to think. So what I will do is, whenever I start my looping, wherever I start, whichever element I is starting at, I will just go and make this count as 1. It will start from 1. I am assuming that, okay, I have a subarray of length 1, and if everything is even, your answer has to be 1. So count has to start from 1. I hope you're able to understand, because I showed it to you in this test case. If everything is even, it has to be 1. If everything is odd also, it has to be 1. So I'll say, okay, count start from 1. Then can it become 2? That depends on whether j and j minus 1 are odd and even, but condition failed. If condition failed, I will come out of this j loop. I will come out of this j loop. And what I will do is, this max count, we will initially make it as 0. I will check which is the maximum between count and max count. Tell me, is max count greater or is count greater? Count is greater. If count is greater than max count, then I will update max count as whatever is the value of count, it will become 1. Which means right now, the maximum length subarray which I have found is of length 1. I hope you are able to understand. Any confusion till here? You are within a loop. I moves forward. Now, the moment I moves forward, goes to a new element, I am going to reinitialize this count and make it as 1. Any confusion? J is always going to start one step ahead of I. J is always going to start one step ahead of I. Now I will check, okay, right now the subarray size is 1, but can it be 2? For it to be 2, what is the condition? Whatever element j is, if it is odd, previous element should be even. If it is even, previous element should be odd. Both we have to check. Anyways, here if I check, j is odd, j minus 1 element, is it even? Yes. Yes means, don't you think the count of my subarray's length should increase? So I will increase count by making it as 2. I hope you are able to understand. Sir, then what happens, sir? Then what happens means j moves forward. If j moves forward, again I will check. Is j even or odd? Even. Is j minus 1 odd? If j is even, it has to be odd. Yes, j is even, j minus 1 is odd. If j minus 1 is odd, don't you think the length of my subarray has to increase? And that is what I will do. I will increment the value of count. It becomes 3. Then what happens, sir? J moves forward. If j moves forward, it goes outside the boundary. If it goes outside the boundary, I will come out of the loop and I will check. Now whatever count I found, is that greater than max count? I hope I will be able to think. What was the previous max count? 1. What is the count? 3. Don't you think 3 is greater than 1? Which means update max count. Hence max count is going to go from 1 and it is going to become 3. Any confusion till here? Then what happens, sir? Next, I moves forward. The moment I moves forward, I will reset the count to 1 because I am saying right now the length of the subarray is 1. Can it increase in length? I am checking. Anyways, for that j is there. J always starts one step ahead of I. I hope you are able to think. Next I will check. The jth element, is it even or odd? Even. Which means I will check, is the j minus 1 element odd? If j minus 1 element is odd, it's alternating even odd elements. Because it is alternating even odd elements, I know that the length of the subarray can be increased and hence I should increase the count. Count is now going to become 2. Any confusion? Okay sir, then what? Then what means j moves forward. If j moves forward, it goes outside the boundary. If it goes outside the boundary, I will come out of the loop and I will check. Okay, I found a new count. Is it greater than the previous max count? No, 2 is not greater. If it is not greater, don't update max count. Max count even now is 3 only. I hope you are able to understand. Next, I moves forward. If I moves forward, then I is here. Now, from here I have to find the length. So I will reset this count value, make that as 1. Then what happens, sir? Then what happens means, now j will start one step ahead of I. If j starts one step ahead of I, already j is outside. Already j is outside, which means I'll come out of the loop and I'll check count and max count, which is greater. Obviously max count is greater, which means I will not update it. And then finally, I moves forward. I also goes outside the boundary. Iteration is done. And when you come out of the loop, what is there inside max count? 3. Now, what is the longest length subarray you found which contains alternating even odd elements? 10, 13, 14. Length is 3, length is 3. You got your answer. How probably think. Now, obviously, if I have to write this as an algorithm, then this is how I can write. So, watch it. I'll just go there and I'll tell for, okay, I starting from 0 to length of A. It should go till the end, length of A. That's what I said. Next I will come inside that, and what were we doing ultimately? So now for every I we have to start a count. So I will tell count equal to 0, I mean 1. Count starts from 1 because wherever I is, we are assuming that is the subarray 1, length 1. Then we need j, so I will tell for. Now j starts from wherever I is plus 1, j equal to I plus 1. It should go to the end, so to length of a. Hope you are able to understand. Then what inside this, what were we doing? Inside this, now here you must focus. Now see, if j was here, then this is odd, previous element should be even. You should check that. If j was here, j is even, previous element must be odd. So wherever j is, you must write a condition for even, odd condition also, for odd, even condition also. Now how will I write that? I will just put if in case, and there I will inside that just tell, see a of j, wherever j is, a of j, okay. First I will check if it is even, so mod 2, don't leave space here, mod 2 equal to 0. Equal to 0, and now only this should not be satisfied. Previous element, if this is even, previous element should be odd, isn't it? So what should I will just copy this and I will paste it again. I will just press enter and paste it. If I paste it, then I will just make this as j minus 1, previous element. I will make this as not equal to. Now this took care of even odd condition, but also there may be a condition where it may be odd even. I hope you are able to understand. So what I will do is here I will just go there and I will leave a space and tell or. Yes, or in the next line what I will do is I will copy this and paste it again. I will copy this, paste it again. Now j mod 2 not equal to 0 I will do. Not equal to 0 means j is odd, which means j's previous element should be even. I will just copy this, paste it again. I will tell and enter and I will just paste it and I will make that as equal to 0. So see, if in case jth element is even and j minus 1 element is odd, or jth element is odd or j minus 1 element is even. That is how you can take care of any condition. Now if any of these conditions is satisfied, I will come inside, put a bracket, and what will you do inside this? What you have to do inside this is very simple. Increment the value of count. Increment the value of count. Count plus I will tell. That's it. So I am incrementing the value of count. Any confusion? Now I will come out of this j loop. When you come out of this j loop, you would have got your count, right? From that ith element, you would have got the count. Now your duty is to maintain max count. So what I will do is I will tell max count equal to, max, make that capital C, max count equal to what? Max count is equal to whatever is the maximum between count and max count. So max of count comma max count I will tell. Yeah. I hope everybody understood till this point of time. This in simple words is your algorithm. There is nothing much to do. Okay. Then outside you come and here you can just tell return max count. All you have to do is return the max count. I hope everybody understood. So this is a very simple approach. Now if you look at, and I am not going to code this, I want you guys to code this because it's very simple. All you have to do is before itself initialize max count as 0. Create a variable max count, initialize it as 0. So that I have not shown, make sure you do it. So this is your naive approach. Now what is the time complexity? Obviously one look at it you can see there is a loop within a loop. This is also going till end, this is also going till end, which means you must all easily be able to tell me, sir, this is big O of n square solution. There is nothing great in coming up with an n square solution. What is so great about coming up with an n square solution? So can we at least bring it down to n? Instead of having another loop inside, in one iteration itself, we'll be able to find the maximum length. I hope you're able to think. Can we do that? Of course we can. How to do it? Let me show you. Alright guys, now before we move on to the optimized approach, one fundamental thing here in the algorithm which I forgot to mention but I explained is that whenever this condition doesn't satisfy, you will not increment count. Yes, you will not increment count, but should you continue iteration? What I mean to say is, assume j was here. This is even, which means j minus 1 should be odd because we need alternating even odd. Now j minus 1 is not odd, which means this condition did not satisfy. If this condition did not satisfy, is there any point in moving j forward? No, you must forcefully break out of the loop, correct? There's no point moving j forward, but we didn't explicitly mention that. So else, in the else part, I must tell that, hey, listen, if in case the condition doesn't satisfy, just break. Our variable thing. And break is available in both Java, Python, that way every programming language. Now that you guys clearly understood how to do this, let's look at a more optimized solution. Okay, I'm not going to use nested loops. In one iteration, I want to find the length. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Simple, guys. What I will do is this time for every element, I will not have a separate count. Instead, I will go here and in the beginning itself I will tell count equal to 1, count equal to 1, because I know that minimum for every subarray the minimum length is 1 only. I hope you are able to think. Max count also I will make it as 1, max count also I will tell is equal to 1. Any confusion? So both are 1. Then what, sir? Now listen, I will start iteration from the second element. Because I know first element length will be 1 only, count will also be 1 only. Now iteration starts from the second element. Now see what I will do. What I will do is very simple. I will check if in case the ith element is even, then the I minus 1 element should be odd. Or if ith element is odd, I minus element should be even. Simple. Last time we were taking j and j minus 1. Now I am telling I and I minus 1. I hope you are able to think. Now I is even. Is I minus 1 even, odd? No. No means 100% I cannot increase the length of my subarray. I will not increment the value of count. Instead, I will reinitialize it to 1 itself. I hope you are able to understand. Then, obviously, okay, now max count is also 1. Now watch it. I will move forward. If I moves forward, then watch it here. I and I minus 1. I and I minus 1. This is odd, this is even. Yes, condition is satisfied. If condition is satisfied, I will just go and increment the value of count. Whenever I increment the value of count or whenever my alter even odd condition satisfies, I will increment count and also I will go and check whether count is greater or max count is greater. Which is max? You know count is greater, which means whatever is the value of count, I will assign it to max count. Any confusion till here? Then I moves forward. If I moves forward, next element is 14. I hope you are able to understand. Even. I minus 1, is it odd? Yes, which means condition is satisfied. Hence, I will increment the value of count. Whenever I increment the value of count, I will also come and check, is max count greater or count greater? Max count is greater or count is greater? Count is greater, which means update max count with count value, it becomes 3. Then I moves forward. If I moves forward, then 100% I go outside the boundary and my iteration stops, and in just one iteration I found the maximum length, which is 3. Any confusion till this point of time? Okay, sir. Now, how are we going to write it as code? Watch it. Just I will come down and I will write for. And there I will tell, for example, I will start from 1 to length of a. It will go to the end. Next, inside that, what should I do? Inside that, all I have to say is that compare that I and I minus 1. So I will tell if in case a of I is even, so mod 2 equal to 0, and a of I minus 1, the previous element, you can write it in the same line itself. Okay, and a of I minus 1 is equal to, is mod 2 is not equal to 0, which means it is odd. Okay, or in the next line. Now I will tell, I will just copy this complete thing, I will paste it again. Now all I have to do is, I may be odd, so not equal to 0. But I minus 1 should be even, so equal to 0. That's it. Same as last time. If that is the case, I'll come inside. And what should I do? Increment count. Increment count. And the moment you increment count, it is also your duty inside that itself. Whenever you increment count, it is also your duty to also compare, is count greater or max count greater. So, max count is equal to whatever is the maximum between count and max count. I hope you are able to understand. Okay. Now, else. Else means what? That the condition didn't satisfy. If the condition didn't satisfy, then you must always reinitialize count to 1, because you know that the minimum answer that for whichever element of I you start with, that is also a subarray. One element is also a subarray and its length is always 1. So, count should always be reinitialized to 1. I hope you are able to understand. And come out of the loop and return max count. That's all you have to do. I hope everybody understood. So, what is the advantage here? Just one loop. And that one loop means this obviously is a big O of n solution. I hope you're able to understand. Okay, good. Now, what are we waiting for? Let's write this code and see whether really it works. Okay, so I have my integer array A which I have created and kept. Same thing here. We have to now find the max count. For that, I have a function called as longest subarray, which will accept my integer array and return an integer which is nothing but the length. Okay, so inside that I will just tell int count equal to 1 and int max count also equal to 1. Next, what I will do is I will just come down until return max count, because ultimately that is what we have to do, return max count. Okay, now inside this, now I have to write a loop. So, I will tell for int I, and I should always start from the second element. Okay, I equal to 1, then I less than a dot length, that is till the end of the array, and next I plus plus. Inside that I will come, and very simple, I will check if in case, okay, a of I is even and a of I minus 1 is odd. Okay, or I'll just copy this, paste it again, and I will just make that as odd. I will make this as even. That's it. If any of these conditions satisfies, then increment the value of count. Not only increment, whenever you increment count, find whichever is the max between both of them, update that as max count. So, I will tell math.max and max count and count you can put, and whatever is the result, I will update that as max count. Okay, that's pretty much it. Else means condition failed. Condition failed means reset count as 1. That's it. That's what we have done. Now, if you look at it here also, which is the maximum length subarray? If you look at it, it is 10, 13, 14 only. Nowhere else it will. So, answer is 3 only. Okay. So, I will come down to the main function. I will just tell system.out.println and I will call my function and I will just pass a to it. If in case I now just execute it, you can clearly notice that you would have got the answer as 3. Any confusion to that? I will just go here and make that 6 as 9. If I make 6 as 9, then obviously 10, 13, 14, 9. Now it should be 4. If in case I execute, one can notice you will get 4. So it perfectly works. I hope you enjoyed this program. Let's catch up in the next class with even more exciting programs. Take care. Bye.